What's up, marketers? In today's video, I'm going to show you exactly how I would build out a Facebook ads account for a brand that has multiple products. For those of you that are new around here, my name is Dara, and I'm the Director of Growth at the agency Thesis, where I work with direct-to-consumer e-commerce brands that spend more than $500K per month on their paid social advertising. Now, I've worked with a ton of brands that have multiple products, some brands that had 10 to 20 products, and even some brands that had over 10,000 SKUs. And I'm not going to lie to you, the ad account structure and ad strategy is not that much different to what I showed you last week in my video about account build-outs post iOS 14. In fact, after seeing that video, so much of you requested this video that I'm making now about multiple products. So please be sure to give this video a like or even subscribe to this channel, because those small actions really do help me out a lot as a creator. And clearly your comments really do impact the content that I make each and every week. So in this video, I'm gonna go over the additional campaigns that you need to test if you have multiple products, the ad strategies that you need to test, and I'm also going to answer some frequently asked questions that I get about this subject each and every day. So let's go ahead and dive in. So the first thing I want to talk about is the structure of an ad account for a brand that has multiple products. And one of the most common questions that I get is, does each product need its own campaign? And the answer to that is no. The reality is that some of your products will sell better than others on Facebook ads, and you cannot force good results out of all of your products. In fact, trying to plug away and get those equal results out of all your products is a great way to waste a lot of money. Instead, what you should really be concentrating on is find the most scalable ad creatives irrespective of the actual product that they're featuring. Keep in mind that you can also upsell your other products on the website or even through email or other channels. So in the case of new brands especially, you really need to look at Facebook ads like a customer acquisition channel, not necessarily the place where you can sell all of your products equally. Now, before we dive into the additional campaigns you're going to need to test if you have multiple products, I want to show you guys my foundational account structure that I went over in my last video. So as you can see here, we only have 2 campaigns. Now, one of the key things after iOS 14 is Facebook really does prefer a consolidated account structure. So in many cases, even for brands that are spending more than $500K per month, this is pretty much what I use. So you can see here that we have one retargeting campaign, one prospecting campaign. The retargeting campaign is going to be looking at audiences that have already had some kind of touch point with your brand. And in this case, for a brand that is only spending $5K per month on their Facebook ads, I've consolidated social engagers and website visitors into one single ad set, so they have a better chance of getting out of the learning phase. Now let's pop back here into the prospecting campaign. So prospecting audiences are audiences that have never had any touch point with your brand. They are cold, brand new audiences. And for a brand that's only spending $5,000 per month, we're gonna break that out into 3 ad sets where I have a lookalike stack, an interest stack, and then a completely broad audience targeting all of Facebook. Now, I've seen multiple product stores work just fine with this exact same account structure. It's truly about finding which ad creatives and which products you feature in those ad creatives works best with the platform. Again, we cannot force all products to convert the same. However, these are the additional campaigns I recommend you testing to make sure that you're getting the most scale out of all of your products on Facebook ads. The additional 2 campaigns that I suggest that you test are going to be both dynamic product ad campaigns, also known as catalog sales. And I have one here for retargeting as well as prospecting. Now, to set this up, you are going to need to have a product catalog uploaded to Facebook ads. And I do have a very old, objectively poorly produced video that shows you how to do that. And the easiest way to do that I've found is through using an app called Flexify. And it's free too, which is pretty cool. And essentially what this does is it gives Facebook a catalog of all of your products so that it can then make ads that contains every single product that you sell. So again, when you're testing out dynamic product ads or catalog sales campaigns, this is what your account structure should look like. And I really do encourage that you test this out in both prospecting and retargeting so that you can give your account the best opportunity for scale. Because frankly, you never know, someone might see one of your prospecting conversion ads that are a little bit more typical, and then they actually convert on a retargeting DPA ad, or vice versa. You really want to give your account the best possibility for success. And when you have multiple products, this setup is going to ensure that you are showing the right products to the right people as much as you can. Now, there are a few other considerations with this account structure that I want to go over with you right now. And the first thing is these DPA ads or catalog sales campaigns do tend to be a little less effective after iOS 14 because iOS 14 really did impact the way that Facebook was able to target and optimize users. So pairing them with the right product is just not quite as good as it used to be, unfortunately. However, I still highly recommend testing this out. Another thing to note is that DPA, catalog sales, and DABA, these are like acronyms that pretty much all mean the same thing. DPA, again, means dynamic product ads, and catalog sales is the type of campaign that you run to actually have dynamic product ads. It's exactly the same, but I do see advertisers using them interchangeably, so I wanted to mention that. Another acronym I see a lot is DABA, and that just means dynamic ads, broad audience. So this is actually what you're going to be using in your prospecting campaign. I wouldn't recommend using an interest or lookalike there. I would actually recommend just trying out a completely broad audience. So that's where that DABA acronym actually comes from. Now, another thing to be mindful of is the actual ad units. You do have a number of levers that you can pull there with what information actually shows up on these dynamic product ads. Things like price, product name, how those are actually showing up in the headline or even the description. So be sure to test a little bit there. And as for your retargeting campaign, I would go ahead and bump that up to as high as it goes. So 180 days for anyone who's visited your website or landed on a certain product. The way that this is likely going to work is that people are going to land on that product, and then a few days later, or even a few hours later, that same product is then going to show up on their social feeds. But if you're starting off at a lower budget or just starting off in general, you want to give Facebook the biggest data set possible. So go ahead and bump that up to 180 days and see what happens and see what kind of data you can get from those people. After you've done some tests and got some learnings, you can bring that down to something more standard like 30 days. Now, the final thing that I want to mention just about this overall account structure in general is that if you have a budget of over 20 to 30K, I would also recommend housing your creative testing in a completely separate campaign, something like this. This is going to allow you to more rapidly test creatives and scale up your winners in separate campaigns. And I actually have a video that's all about my creative testing strategy right here. Now, I'll say that this testing campaign is actually a pretty good place to test out new ad creatives for new or different products. But really, that first priority is to get up those dynamic product ads or those catalog sales campaigns. Now, the next thing I want to talk about are the specific ad creatives and ad formats that I recommend you testing out if you're a brand that has multiple products. The first thing I recommend testing out, which is particularly good for apparel brands, is collection ads. These tend to have a hero image or a video and then show specific products right below them. You can have those products be automated, or you could actually showcase the specific products that are located in the actual ad unit above, which is pretty cool. Not gonna lie, I haven't seen this work out too much super recently, but I still think it's worth testing just to make sure that you've covered all your bases. And the next thing I think that you should try, and this is actually one of my favorite, is to use dynamic formats and creative. Now, this essentially allows you to run DPA ads inside of your conversion campaigns alongside of your standard ad units. So you can run these in prospecting and retargeting. It's definitely something that I recommend testing out. And yes, I still also recommend you testing out those additional catalog sales and DPA campaigns, because the delivery and optimization for these units do tend to differ, but I still see really good results coming out of both the catalog sales campaigns, DPA campaigns, and actually using this dynamic formats and creative style ad. Additionally, another thing that I think is kind of sneaky, but again, I've seen it work out really well, is to use carousel ads that feature multiple products. And you can even fake these to look like DPA ads, which I've seen be really successful with a few brands. So that's another strategy I'd be sure to test out. Now, the last thing that I want to go over is some tips for beginners. So when thinking about your conversion campaigns and specifically the ad creative, be sure to start with what you know that your best sellers are. And the ad strategies here are going to be fundamentally the same as they are with a single product store. Essentially, you really just want to go after the type of ad creative that converts. So be sure to test out these specific ad creatives that I showed you guys in my last video. You'll want to try some UGC videos, something like a short, something that really focuses on product usage. And you'll also want to test out a single testimonial. You also want to concentrate on the different types of formats, so be sure to include testing out different images and carousels. You can always start with your top performing organic creatives and then overlay some customer testimonials or even some press hits. The other video that I'd recommend you guys test is an explainer benefits video, something like this. And if you don't have enough budget to launch the DPA or catalog sales campaigns at the same time, so the prospecting and retargeting, I'd recommend that you go ahead and start with your retargeting campaigns, because those are going to have the highest chance of success since they are retargeting users who's already been to your website and likely landed on a product. Now, here are my final thoughts. Frankly, running a multiple product brand outside of the DPA catalog sales campaigns, it's not that much different structurally than anything else that I've ever shown you guys. My biggest piece of advice, and this is the thing that I think separates the expert media buyers from the amateur media buyers, is this: focus on finding the ad creative that converts, not necessarily the product. And that's it. Thank you so much for spending time with me on this Sunday to go over this campaign. If you guys have any more suggestions on videos that you'd like to see in the future, be sure to leave me a comment below. Clearly, enough of you asked for this specific video that I went ahead and made it, even though I had something else slated for this week. But I thought it was really important to go ahead and get it out of the way and give you guys the content that you really want. All right, well, I'll see you next week. Later, guys. Bye.